One story breaking as I went away was coverage in mainstream media of some polling that suggested overwhelming public support for Labor's refloated capital gains tax idea. And I thought initially the only bad journalism involved in that polling or coverage of that polling was that mainstream media claimed the polling proved that Labor was making grounds on national, or that it was a popularity poll for political parties. That in itself was a bad act of, misinterpretation. But I read on my return an excellent article published by the New Zealand Initiative. No, not by the New Zealand Initiative, by Bassett Brash Hyde, a piece by economist Rob MacCulloch, who had analysed the polling around support for the capital gains tax. And he joins us now. To be honest, he found, I think, an even more inherent and much more worrying and deliberate bias. Rob, thank you for joining us this morning. Lovely to have you with us.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Well, as I said, I initially just thought it was a bit weird saying that, 65 or whatever it was % support for a CGT meant that Labor was somehow more popular than National. But in fact, the misreporting and misinterpretation of the survey data, polling data, was far more deliberate and deep than that, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. They reported that an overwhelming majority, roughly 2/3 of Kiwis, want capital gains tax. So, they think it's a great idea. So Labor obviously should propose it at the next election. And, with that, they'll sweep into power.
Okay, now when we say they, who was reporting it this way?
Radio New Zealand was reporting it that way. The NZ Herald was reporting it that way. So the biggest outlets, essentially, in the country.
Did Stuff get in on the act?
The state-owned media. Sorry?
Stuff and TVNZ get on the act?
I haven't checked Stuff.
All right, so RNZ and the Herald said, where did the polling data come from? Who conducted it?
There is a polling agency that did it, and it goes. I'll show you the. It's Infosys or.
Infosys. Okay, are they associated with the Labor Party?
I don't know the details of their.
Okay, so was it a commission poll? Ipsos.
Ipsos.
Sorry, Ipsos. So are they associated with the Labor Party, or are they?
I have no idea.
We need to find out, don't we? So it was part of a survey they did. Did it show that 2/3 of New Zealanders supported a capital gains tax?
Well, the short answer is no, it didn't.
What? But that's what the story said.
Yeah, so Ipsos did it, then it was picked up by front page news by the Radio New Zealand, the state-owned broadcaster, and the NZ Herald.
Yeah.
And the headline ran, 2/3 of Kiwis support capital gains tax. If you read further down in the article, then the journalists reporting it got a bit more sneaky, and they said 2/3 report capital gains tax in some form. So I looked up the poll, and it turns out that what these folks called Ipsos did was they never asked people, do you support capital gains tax? They never asked people the question. It was the headline news, front page of the Herald and front page of Radio New Zealand. They never asked people, do you support capital gains tax in some form? They never asked those questions. Now, when you do surveys, every word matters. So they're reporting a question that was never asked. If you actually look up what these Ipsos folks did, the question they asked was, do you support capital gains in the following situations? And then they listed a whole lot of different, what they seem to call situations. One of those situations was owning your own house. And like 70 to 80% of Kiwis said, my God, we don't want capital gains tax on our own house. So a vast majority rejected capital gains tax, saying we don't want to pay it on our own house. But then they listed more and more situations. One of the situations they came to was on investment properties. That was the only category they could find where over 50%, about 57% said, on investment properties, we support. Well, actually, New Zealand already has capital taxes on investment properties if they come under the bright line test, if you buy or sell within a certain period of time. And so they reported the headline, 2/3 want capital gains taxes. So I think that was just misrepresenting the question of the survey, the results of the survey. In most so-called situations, Kiwis don't want capital gains tax. And they just went through trying to find a situation where they could find, in one narrow category, get over the 50% mark. Then the headline became 2/3 want, capital gains introduced at the next election by Labor. It's absolute, total bollocks.
Well, it does, but so then I guess, and it's really interesting to take a story like this, and Rob, can I say thank you for exposing? I was off on holiday. I just thought, well, it doesn't seem right, but that's just the media. When we look deeper into this is even more concerning. This is not misinterpreting a survey. This is willfully gaslighting on its results.
Yeah.
It's really. I mean, this is as bad as journalism gets. Just lying to people, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, what can you say? We think that American politics is the nastiness is in America. It doesn't apply to New Zealand. But my impression is of many of these big outlets, they think that Kiwis are just they're treating Kiwis as dumb. In the words of Joe Biden, I mean, what do they think? Kiwis are garbage. We're all so stupid. We don't know how to read surveys. We don't know what's good for ourselves, and they have to tell us what's good for ourselves. They have to tell us that in fact, even though we don't know it ourselves, most of us support capital gains tax, and we'd be better if they were introduced.
And that Labor are better than National, and they're on the comeback trail. So a whole lot of false narratives were created from this.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I'll give you
Yes, Rob.
I'll give you an example of how devious, downright devious, the headline was. And you could, another example would be you ask people, do you want higher income taxes? And then they report a headline, yes, Kiwis all want higher income taxes. Well, the equivalent with income tax, the question they asked is, do you want higher income tax in the following situations? On income less than 10,000, 10 to 20, 20 to 30, and maybe you take it all the way up to incomes of more than 10 million. And then you find in that survey that every Kiwi in the country wants lower income taxes on every amount of income less than 10 million, but only for anyone earning over 10 million, which is one person in the country. Then Kiwis say, yes, okay, on that person, we're happy for our income taxes. Then the front page news is, Kiwis unanimously all want higher income taxes.
Right.
Well, actually, they unanimously want lower income taxes. It's just in one situation on that folk earning more than 10 million. Yeah. So the headline should be, all Kiwis want lower income taxes, with that one exception. So they've perverted a headline, created a false narrative, and it's just dishonest.